What's going on, everybody? GemMint here with today's new comic book day reviews. It's Wednesday, February 16th, and as always, gonna review these comics as spoiler-free as possible. Kind of a light week for the physical books for me. I read most of them digital because my shop, their Marvel shipment was late, but luckily I did read all the books I intended to. Before we jump into the reviews, it's Wednesday, so that means it's Whatnot Wednesday. I'll be going live later today at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern for an hour. $1 starting bid, 30-second auctions, and I got some great single issues, keys, some Silver Age, some little mini series and runs, so a lot of great stuff. Come follow me on Whatnot. And with that being said, let's jump into the reviews, and we're going to start with DC Comics to Tom King's finale for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. He's joined by Everly and Lopez. I really did like this entire series. I liked the ending. I liked the confrontation with Krem, the guy who killed Supergirl's partner's father, and just a lot of explanation why Supergirl agreed to jump on this quest with her, and just the finale. It wrapped up good. This is going to be a good 8-issue miniseries that you guys can read. I might put it up on Whatnot Wednesday today for auction. Moving on, we have Robins. This is issue 4 out of 6. This is by Tim Seeley, Rivas, and Ferraro Jr. I don't know if I missed issue 3 or not. I'm a little bit lost on what's going on. I get it's all the Robins, and they're fighting this one true first Robin person. But now all of a sudden we have this, like, you flash somebody in the eyes, and they're in the Matrix all of a sudden. And, like, something at the end was like a nod to one of Nightwing's alter egos. I'm lost. I didn't really enjoy it. Then we have Batman the Knight, issue 2 out of 10. This is by Chip Zdarsky. He's joined by D. Giandimencio and Placencia. It's a great book, man. It's very Batman Beyond. This is him training to be a vigilante. Alfred doesn't know. He's in Paris. He's getting trained by the Gray Shadow or the Gray Ghost or some Catwoman-esque type of figure, kind of just teaching him how to traverse through the city and disappear without a trace. So it's fun. I was thinking about giving it pick of the week, but I don't know. It just didn't really have enough oomph to take that title. Moving on, we have Nightwing issue 89. This is by Tom Taylor, Rendondo, and Lucas. It's featuring Superman, son of Kal-El, for a 2-issue arc crossover, which is Tom Taylor's other book. So I thought that was smart. I mean, he's writing 2 books. What better way to cross promote? The issue was okay. It has like a flashback to Dick Grayson first meeting Jonathan Kent as a kid and first learning how to fly and flying at night when he shouldn't have. So that was pretty touching. It was all right, man. I mean, it didn't hit as hard as this arc has been hitting, but it was all right. And then lastly from DC, we have Batman in Detective Comics, issue 1053, Tamaki, Raynor, and Guerrero. Another one that I'm not digging this arc as much as the last few arcs for Detective Comics. The backup story I really like, but the main story is basically Psycho Pirate. He's mind controlling people in this new Arkham Asylum. You have Nightwing that's undercover there, and people are attacking people without their knowledge and things like that. I don't know. It's just kind of boring. And the House of Gotham is following this kid that gets kind of like in the system of Gotham vigilantes and rogues, and he's in Arkham as well, and he gets bust out by the original version of Bane, like the wrestler looking Bane. So it was alright. I don't know, Detective has been a letdown so far for these last few issues. Moving over to Marvel Comics, we're going to start with Devil's Reign Superior 4 issue 2 by Thompson, Tinto, and Mia. Talk about disappointment. I am not feeling this aspect of the Devil's Reign story. This whole the whole that there's one version of you in every multiverse. It's Dark Knight's Metal. There's a version of Otto Octavius in all these different universes. One of them that became Wolverine. One of them that became Ghost Rider. One of them that became Hulk. Like, how is this part of this Devil's Reign story? I'm just not feeling it. It feels super tropey. Like, you already know all the stuff that's going to happen because you've seen this premise a million times before. Moving on to Iron Fist issue 1, we have Alyssa Wong, Michael YG, and J. David Ramos. So this is a new ongoing, and it's a new character as Iron Fist, one who obtained the chi without ripping out the live beating heart of whatever dragon. It was just okay. I didn't really love it. I'm not a big Iron Fist guy, so I don't care about Danny Rand, and this character, I don't remember who his name was. I don't know, it was just whatever. I probably won't get issue 2. Moving on over to 10 Lives of Wolverine with issue 3 by Benjamin Percy. He's joined by Joshua Cassara and Frank Martin. So 10 Lives of Wolverine follows the premise that kind of like Matrix style as well. Like Jean Grey is helping Wolverine go into all these moments of his life to save a version of Professor X there. So one time he's Mutant X and he's with Sabretooth and Maverick. Another time he's in the Savage Land, or all the Wolverine costumes. Basically, we're visiting all those, and Omega Red is going through all these with him, with the ability to possess people and kind of jump from host to host. It's all right. It's kind of weird. It feels very different than its counterpart book with 10 Deaths of Wolverine, which just feels like a Moira McTaggart book, but I mean, it's interesting. Speaking of interesting, we have Donny Cates' Hulk with issue 4. He's joined by Ryan Ottley, Cliff Rathburn, and Frank Martin. So I'm starting to get the premise a little bit more. I love Donny Cates. I like his big epic out there stuff, but this one I never really got on board with. I did like how they shown Hulk up against like these impossible odds, or him, looking like he's losing, and Banner calling more enemies to that engine room so that the Hulk psyche can fight them, and that really works. Like, he can really become stronger and overcome odds. It's big. The artwork is amazing. I mean, it's Ryan Ottley with Donny Cates' ideas, so I'm starting to get on board with it a little bit, but super weird concept. Speaking of super weird concept, we have Al Ewing taking over again on Venom with issue number 5. He's joined by Hitch, Curie, and Sinclair with this idea that there are other Kings in Black that aren't Null, that aren't Eddie Brock, and meeting in the garden with these multiple Kings in Black, one of them seeming to be the leader, who we find out what their motives are later on. It was kind of weird, man. I'm not digging it as much as Donny Cates' run. It's a little bit more Al Ewing and Ron V, which I guess makes sense, but it's a little bit more out there and trippy and sci-fi, more than like a Venom Brawler book. And then we have X-Men issue number 8 by Dugan, Pena, and Gracia, which, as you can see by the cover, is a MODOK issue, but MODOK, like, being sinister. Like, I really dug this issue. Cyclops still dealing with the Captain Krakoa stuff and not wanting the Resurrection Protocol made public, and what to do with Ben Urich, who found out, and what did Ben Urich really think about it and think about mutants. So some cool stuff happening in this volume 2 within Reign of X-Men. Which brings us to Donny Cates again with Thor issue 22. He's joined by Nick Klein and Matt Wilson. This is God of Hammers part 4. I love it, man. Big things happen in this issue with Odin that I don't want to get into and spoil, which is going to change Thor moving forward a little bit. The whole Mjolnir as a living embodiment, I thought they kind of made it where it wasn't Mjolnir. It was this other character. I forget the name, Madgog or something like that. So it's really just like a villain, but kind of using Mjolnir in some kind of way, shape, or form. I thought it was pretty cool. It was cool to see bringing in all the other Marvel heroes to kind of just try to fight this new deity unsuccessfully. Big fun, epic stuff like we get with Donny Cates. And lastly, from Marvel Comics, we have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 89. This is by Gleason, Bagley, Hennessy, Bell, and Valenza, bringing out some big guns. And I did like this Queen Goblin issue, and really helping us get Spider-Man out of the hospital in a real world scenario where he's got to fight, he's got to overcome whatever the hell's got him up in the hospital, so that he can stop the destruction of the city with this whole Queen Goblin thing. So kind of fun, not much Ben Reilly stuff happening here, and I'm excited to see where it goes with Wells and Romita Jr. when they take over the book. And before we jump into the indies, I want to thank Nick Barucci and Dynamite Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check out their new releases today, as they have Nick's issue 4, Red Sonja, Black, White, and Red issue 7, James Bond, Himeros 5, and Vampirverse issue 6. I'm going to kick off the indies with Image, and we're going to talk about Reign issue 2 by Joe Hill, David M. Boer, Zoe Thorogood, and Chris O'Halloran. I loved issue 1. I think it got pick of the week it came out. This was a great follow-up explaining what this rain was, these literal needles that rained down from the sky, killing, I think it was tens or hundreds of thousands of people. They kind of can follow it like a hurricane, but I don't want to spoil too much about the storm of these raining needles, but it was deep with this person on the cover, the relationship with someone she lost during the events of the last issue, and just kind of cool explaining it in like real world terminology. This isn't magic, this isn't something supernatural. It's like something that not could happen in real life, but they explained it within the book pretty well. It was interesting. Which brings us to Time Before Time, issue 10. This is by Shalvix, McConville, Palmer, O'Halloran, and Oatsmain Elihu. You're getting more of the same with Time Before Time. I like it. I like their jumping through time. I believe we jumped the furthest we've ever have here, $29.99, if I'm not mistaken, which was cool. It's cool to see the different styles of the clothing that they're wearing and stuff. The main kind of story it's been a little bit hard to follow for me. Like, I know it's like one of the characters is trying to find their family. She wasn't at the safe house, safe time, safe place where she left them, and she's trying to find her family, but a little bit hard to follow on the main story. Then we have Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. This is issue number, looks like issue 5. They put it real small there. Rick Remender, Andre Lima Arahu with Chris O'Halloran and Roos Wooten. So this one kind of confused me a little bit, or maybe I wasn't really grasping what this was all about, because now it's like our character who seems to have stumbled upon this like spy, killer for hire type of underworld is now rescuing people, and he seems to have a skill set, and I don't know, something changed here where it kind of lost me a little bit. But it's a super fast, easy to read story. A lot of the issues had very little dialogue. I feel like there was more in this one, but I don't understand what's going on with this guy, how he's a hero all of a sudden, but maybe he's just one of these guys that got, put in the wrong place at the wrong time and trying to do the right thing. All right, then we have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 4 by Boss Rosenberg and Oatsmain Elihu as well. So they're giving us more and more teases as what can possibly be happening in this world. Does everybody die after 18? Was there some kind of war? Was there some plague? It's like this generation doesn't really know what happened prior and why there aren't any adults anywhere. So kind of interesting premise, and kind of a lot of the inner workings of this civilization. Who are the strangers? Are they aliens? Did they cause this? Interesting stuff. I don't really like the banter and interaction between characters. It just feels weird. And the way that this book goes through chapters, like you turn a page, next chapter. The chapter could be a paragraph. It's like the chapters go by super fast here. It's kind of weird. And then we have what I believe is the last issue of Primordial by Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, and Dave Stewart. I loved it. I love the explanation of what happened to Laika, the space dog, and the chimps that were sent to outer space during the space race. It's not that they just died and we lost contact. There was like this whole mind-blowing, only Andrea Sorrentino can do paneling like this, and literally unmaking worlds and realities. Crazy explanations here, and a nice wrapping the bow around, tying up all the loose ends at the end here with the main character who was caring for the animals. So a nice animal-driven story with kind of sci-fi, what if this really happened this way kind of scenarios. Cool stuff. Then we have Kingspawn. We're on issue number 7 here. This is by Sean Lewis and Javier Fernandez. Amazing artwork. The artwork in this book reminds me of why I was always such a Spawn fan growing up as a kid. And what's cool about this book is you have Spawn with Terry Fitzgerald trying to figure out if this Wanda coming back to life thing is real. They seem to be able to go into almost like the Matrix again, almost like replaying certain scenes and scenarios with Wanda. Can they pull her out of that and bring her back to the real world? Or is it heaven and hell just playing with them again, or what have you? Or this little kid, this creepy little kid that wants to make Spawn the King Spawn. But I really dug Spawn. Everything that's Todd's doing right now with Spawn has been amazing, man. So check that out. And check out my pick of the week. I gave it to the Silver Coin. This is issue number 9. It's The Dancer by Vita Ayala and Michael Walsh. Amazing anthology series that all kind of centers around this silver coin that once you're in possession of it, it does evil things, and it never really ends up good for the wearer of it. This guy was a cop, a dirty cop. It was kind of like an in-depth, very in-depth type of story. He's a dirty cop. He gets into arson. He almost kills a girl, but he saves her, and he's looked at as a hero, even though really he's the one doing the arson. And just the whole tying in the silver coin, giving it the horror elements that this series has been so well known for, with just Michael Walsh and different writers. So that's my pick of the week. Those are this week's comics. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments down below. Hope to see you on Whatnot later today, and stay minty fresh. Peace.